let's just start. Mary Kay, what was your most memorable game? And this doesn't have to be a win. It can be memorable for any reason. Just the most memorable game of the 2022 season.
I think it has to be the Deshaun Watson game in Houston. I mean, my goodness, the magnitude of that game, the emotion before the game. There were so many things about it. I went down onto the field beforehand, and I had my, my phone with me, and I was videotaping some things. So I got an opportunity to watch all these Browns fans getting autographs from Deshaun. I watched him, walk out for warm-ups. I got that on video. His agent showed up down there. His marketing guy showed up. There were so many people on the sidelines. And then Kevin Stefanski was down there. Then his family showed up on the sidelines. So you had his wife and his kids were there. I mean, it was almost like a circus atmosphere. It was really, really, really crazy down there. And it was just, it was just the game that we had basically been all waiting for all season long. Him returning to the field after 700 days off, returning to the city where all of those accusations and allegations took place, returning after an 11-game suspension. And how was this all going to go? And as it turned out, he was way rustier than any of us thought possible. I don't think anybody expected him to be that rusty. It almost looked like at times his legs didn't work right and his arm didn't work right. And I think that was because the emotion of this game was so overwhelming. I think everybody underestimated the impact that was going to have on him.
Okay, so I was not at this game. We'll get into this a little bit later. I was not at that game because I had COVID that week and missed the entire week, was not able to travel to Houston, so I missed that one. Ashley, is that your answer for this? Because you were at that game, or do you have another one?
Well, that was going to be my answer, but I think there's another one that I could talk about for the sake of this discussion. But Mary Kay hit the nail on the head. I mean, that's the game I think we're all going to look back on from this season and remember. But for me, I'm also really going to remember the Halloween night game against the Bengals. Like, obviously, it's the AFC North rivalry. But to me, it kind of represents, for better and worse, like where this team was this season. And the best and worst parts of it, like they're a team that's built to beat the Bengals. We've joked, like they're built to win this rivalry. It feels like in a lot of ways. And, I said on a recent podcast, like for a lot of the season, I felt like they were just kind of like a front running team. And I think you saw it there and you saw them, maybe get a little too overconfident after that win. And I think things kind of spiraled after that. But I do think it just kind of shows like what this defense is built to stop, especially. And I always just kind of, those wins against the Bengals just stick with me a lot. I think these AFC North games probably stick with all of us a lot more, but they just matched up so well against Cincy in that game for better and for worse.
Yeah, that was one that I had on my list too as a possibility, Mary Kay. That crazy, and they were floundering going into that game. It was falling apart, and then they just come out and just destroy the Bengals on Monday Night Football, like going into their bye week. Just a really strange night with Myles Garrett dressed as Vecna, by the way.
Yeah, it was the Stranger Things kind of night. I mean, that was the whole theme of the night. And again, he showed up that way in costume, and he kind of went out and sort of played that way.
I had, I have like two that I really like, but I think I have to pick this one. It's week one. That was just such a Baker Mayfield, and of course, the whole dust up with Baker saying something that maybe shouldn't have been reported, but it did get reported. Just the entire Baker experience leading up to that game, the off the leash T-shirts, and then the way it ended. I mean, the Browns were going to lose that game. Ironically, if that's the right word, they were going to lose that game on a Baker Mayfield game-winning drive, which would have been almost perfect. But then here comes this rookie kicker, and he makes this 58-yard field goal at just at the perfect time for Ashley. And which maybe we'll get to that in a little bit. And just that it was just such a, these ends of games are so crazy for us, right? Because we're all trying to get something written and posted as soon as that clock hits 0, and then we got to get downstairs and do interviews. And Mary Kay's figuring out if she's going to go to Baker's presser or go to the Browns. But it's just chaos, and just all of that ending with Cade York kicking this 58-yard field goal is just that's just one of those moments I don't think you'll ever forget.
Yeah, you know what? You're so right about that, Dan.